Darren lived on a quiet farming planet called Telros 3. The skies were wide and clear, the winds were strong, and the land stretched far in every direction. His home was a small metal house built by his late father, and he had lived alone for the past 2 years. Life was simple. Every morning he checked the crops, fixed old machines, and talked to the animals. But recently, something had changed. Machines that were broken started working again. His water purifier, which hadn't functioned in months, suddenly started filtering water as if it were new. Once he fell asleep outside, and when he woke up, there was a strange, soft blanket around him. He had not brought it himself. Someone, or something, was watching him. Darren told himself he was imagining things. Maybe the wind had blown a cloth over him. Maybe he had fixed the purifier in his sleep. But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. Someone was near him. Someone was helping him. One night, he climbed to the top of the old watchtower on the hill behind his farm. It was cold and the wind was strong, but he stayed there for hours. He looked up at the stars. Telros 3 had no nearby neighbors. The nearest colony was 5 days away by ship. No one should be here. And yet he could feel it in his bones. He was not alone. Suddenly, the air shimmered. It was like heat waves rising from a hot road, but it was cold out here. Darren leaned forward. His hand moved toward the shimmer without thinking. Then, before his eyes, the air twisted and bent, and someone stepped out. She was unlike anything he had ever seen. A tall figure stood in front of him, wearing a soft, silver suit that looked like it was made of living metal. Her skin was a rich teal blue, glowing faintly under the moonlight. Her long black hair floated lightly in the wind. Her face was calm, peaceful, and beautiful in a way he could not describe. Soft and natural, like she had walked out of a dream. Darren stepped back in shock, his heart pounding. "Who are you?" he asked. The figure raised one hand slowly, in a peaceful gesture. "My name is Ariel," she said in a gentle voice. "I am Virelian. I have been sent to protect you." "Protect me?" Darren repeated, still unsure if he was awake or dreaming. Ariel nodded. "For the past 6 months I have watched from above. You are under surveillance because there is danger approaching this region. My people believe certain humans, like you, may be targets." Darren blinked. "So, you've been spying on me?" "Not spying," she said calmly. "Guarding, quietly, without disturbing your life. But I revealed myself now because the danger is growing." Darren sat down on a bench behind him. His mind was racing. An alien had just appeared out of thin air and said she was protecting him from something. This sounded like something from an old sci-fi book, but she looked real. She felt real. The warmth of her presence, the kindness in her voice, it was all real. "What kind of danger?" he finally asked. Ariel looked up at the stars. "A hostile species is moving through nearby sectors. We call them the Kirari. They do not speak. They do not trade. They consume. Worlds, people, everything." Darren swallowed. "Why me?" Ariel looked at him now, her eyes calm and serious. "We don't know why, but some humans, especially those living on the outer colonies, are important to them. My task was to protect you and learn why you might be significant." Darren stared at her. "And if I'm not important?" She paused. For a moment. "You are," she said simply. "You just don't know it yet." They sat in silence for a while. The wind moved through the trees below. Darren had 1,000 questions, but his mind couldn't keep up. "Why now?" he asked. Ariel looked at him. "Because the Kirari will arrive sooner than expected. I can no longer hide in the shadows. You need to prepare, and I need your trust." He looked at her again. Her calm eyes, her graceful stance, the way she didn't try to scare him or force him to believe. She just stood there, honest and quiet. "I don't know if I trust you," he admitted. "But I believe you." She nodded once. "That is enough for now." As she turned to leave, her form shimmered again, fading into the night air. But this time, Darren knew exactly what he had seen. Not a dream, not a ghost, a protector. And somewhere deep in his heart, a strange feeling began to grow. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew his life had just changed forever. The next morning, Darren woke up early. His dreams had been strange and full of light. He sat on the edge of his bed trying to understand what had happened the night before. The memory was clear. The alien, Ariel, had appeared in front of him, told him she was sent to protect him, and then disappeared into the night. He walked outside and looked at the sky. Everything looked the same. The sun was rising over the hills, and the air smelled like fresh soil. Birds were singing. But Darren didn't feel the same. His heart was still racing. Something deep inside told him his peaceful life on Telros 3 was now over. The day passed slowly. He tried to work on the broken drone near the barn, but his hands kept shaking. His mind was filled with questions. Who were the Kirari? Why was he important? And why did Ariel look at him with such calm eyes, like she already knew everything about him? In the afternoon, dark clouds formed in the sky. A storm was coming fast. Darren looked at the tall old tower where he had met Ariel. One of the signal panels at the top had fallen off, and if he didn't fix it, the tower could lose power completely. He grabbed his toolkit and climbed the hill. Rain started to fall as he reached the tower. The wind pushed hard against him, but he kept climbing the old metal stairs. Step by step, he reached the top. Lightning flashed in the distance. The signal panel was hanging by one wire. "I can do this," he whispered to himself. Darren held the edge of the tower with one hand and reached for the panel with the other. Just as he touched it, a strong gust of wind hit him. His feet slipped. The toolbox fell, hitting the ground far below. Darren cried out as his body tilted over the edge. His fingers slipped from the wet railing, and then he didn't fall. A warm, blue light wrapped around him like a soft bubble. Time slowed. The wind stopped. Darren floated gently down toward the ground. His feet touched the earth softly, and the light faded. He looked up and saw her, Ariel, standing under a tree near the tower. Her silver suit shimmered in the rain, but she didn't look wet. Her teal-blue skin glowed gently in the storm's light. Her long black hair moved with the wind, but her face was calm and focused. "You saved me," Darren said, breathing hard. Ariel nodded. "I told you I would protect you." He walked toward her, still shaking. "You were watching me." "Again?" "Yes," she said. "I never stopped." Darren stared at her. The rain poured around them, but she looked like she belonged in this world, like she had always been here, waiting for the right moment. "Why me?" he asked again. "I'm just a farmer. I'm not important." "You are important," she said softly. "Your decisions, your location, your actions, they matter in ways you don't see yet. My mission is to protect you, but it is also to understand you." "Understand me?" he asked. "What does that mean?" Ariel looked at him for a long moment. "Humans are different from other species. You create hope in the middle of fear. You act with heart, not only logic. My people don't fully understand it, but I wanted to." "And did you?" Darren asked. She smiled just a little. "Not yet, but I'm learning." Darren felt his chest tighten. The way she looked at him wasn't cold or distant. There was a kind warmth in her eyes, something that felt deeper than just duty. "Will others come?" he asked. "More Varelians?" "No," she replied. "I work alone. The council believes it's safer that way." "Safer for who?" "For you," she said. "And maybe for me." Lightning flashed again. Ariel turned and pointed toward the sky. The Kirari are moving. My sensors picked up energy traces from a scout ship near the edge of this system. We don't have much time. Darren stepped beside her. Can we stop them? Alone, no. But together, maybe. We need to prepare. He looked at her carefully. You said your people don't allow close contact with humans. That is true, she said. We are told to observe, guide, protect, but not connect, not feel. And yet here you are, Darren said. Yes, she whispered. Here, I am. They stood in silence for a few seconds. The storm began to fade. The clouds moved away, and soft light returned to the sky. Birds chirped again in the trees. It felt like the world had paused for them. Darren looked at her hands. They were covered with smooth lines, glowing softly with energy. Not human hands, but still beautiful. Thank you, Ariel, he said, for saving me, for telling the truth. You don't need to thank me, she replied. This is only the beginning. He nodded slowly. Then let's start. Together. Ariel stepped closer. Her eyes were deep and calm, like the ocean. I swore to protect you, but I didn't know it would feel like this. Like what? He asked quietly. Like I'm protecting someone who matters to me. More than I expected. Darren didn't know what to say. He didn't know what the future would bring, but he knew that he wasn't alone anymore. And that made him feel ready for whatever was coming next. Ever since Ariel revealed herself, everything changed. The lonely days of fixing machines and checking crops were now filled with plans, training, and questions about the future. Telros 3 still looked the same dusty roads, the same cloudy blue sky, but to Darren, the world felt different, brighter, fuller. Ariel had moved into a small shelter just outside the edge of his farm. Her technology made it almost invisible from above. It looked like a large silver stone from a distance, but inside it was filled with glowing lights, smooth walls, and tools that Darren didn't understand. Each morning, Ariel visited him with updates. She gave him information about the Kirari, how they moved through systems like a swarm, how they absorbed data, and how they destroyed everything they couldn't control. They are not like you, Ariel explained one day. They feel nothing. They don't make friends. They don't protect. They only grow. And they are coming. Darren had never been trained for war. He was not a soldier or a leader, but he didn't want to hide while others fought. He told Ariel that he wanted to help, even if it was dangerous. Ariel studied him for a long time after he said that. Then she nodded. Then we prepare together. They started with training. Every afternoon, Ariel taught him how to move quietly, how to read signs in the ground, and how to defend himself using a small energy shield. The shield felt strange in his hands. It was weightless but strong, like holding a bubble made of steel. You learn fast, she said after a few days. I have a good teacher, he replied, smiling. Sometimes they took breaks and sat under the trees. They talked about his childhood, her planet, and the stars. Darren learned that Ariel had never eaten fruit before, never sat around a fire, and had never watched the sun set without a mission behind it. I was raised in the air, she said one evening. We train in floating cities above the oceans. We study and serve. Emotions are not forbidden, but they are controlled. Sounds lonely, Darren said. Ariel looked at him. It is. He didn't know what to say, so he offered her one of the small red berries that grew near the farm. She took it, examined it with curiosity, and bit into it. Her eyes lit up. It's sweet, she said. Darren laughed. Yeah, they grow wild. Here. You should try more. From that day on, she took one berry each time she visited. He noticed her smile grew softer with each bite. One night, A small warning alert blinked in Ariel's shelter. She called Darren at once. "A Kirari probe entered our space," she told him. "It didn't land, but it scanned the area and sent out a signal." "Does that mean they know I'm here?" Darren asked. "Possibly," she said. "We need to strengthen the signal jammer on your tower. If we can block their scans, we can delay them." They worked together through the night. Ariel climbed the tower like a shadow, using her tools to install a silver panel that shimmered in the moonlight. Darren connected the old wires to the new device. Sparks flew, but the lights turned green. "It's working," she said. Darren gave a tired smile. "Not bad for a farmer." Ariel looked at him seriously. "You are not just a farmer." There was a silence between them. Then Ariel stepped closer. "I was trained to follow orders," she said. "I was told to protect, not feel. But you confuse me." "Sorry," Darren said with a nervous laugh. "Don't be," she said softly. "Since I met you, I feel something I cannot explain. I watch you fix broken machines, care for small creatures, laugh even when you're afraid. I've never seen that before." Darren looked into her eyes. They were deep and clear, like calm water. He felt something stir in his chest, something warm and strong. "I don't understand everything," he said honestly. "But I'm glad you're here. And I feel something too." She didn't say anything at first, but her hand reached out slowly and touched his. Her fingers were cool but gentle. They stayed like that for a moment, quiet, close, not speaking. Then the wind blew, reminding them of the world around them. The danger was still coming. But in that small space of time, they had found something new, something real. The next morning, they continued training. Darren woke up early, filled with energy. He knew the Kirari could attack at any time, but now he didn't feel alone. Ariel stood beside him on the training field, holding a second energy shield. "Ready?" she asked. "Always," he said. They fought like dance partners. He moved, she moved. She guided, he followed. And sometimes, she followed him. It wasn't just training, it was trust. Step by step, they were learning to fight together, not just side by side, but as one. As the sun set, Ariel sat beside him, watching the sky turn gold. "You are different from what I expected," she said. "Is that good or bad?" She turned to him. "It is dangerous," he smiled. "Dangerous can be good sometimes." She smiled, too. That night, as the stars appeared, Ariel stood outside her shelter and looked toward the sky. The Kirari were still far, but closer than before. She placed her hand over her heart, something she had never done before, and whispered, "I will protect you, not because of orders, but because I want to." Inside his house, Darren looked at the stars and whispered, "I trust you, Ariel." Far above, the darkness of space moved. But two hearts on Telros 3 had already begun to shine. The sun rose over Telros 3 with soft golden light. The wind was calm and the air smelled fresh. It looked like a peaceful day, but Darren knew something was wrong. He could feel it deep inside his chest, like a quiet warning. Ariel stood near, the edge of the field, her eyes fixed on the sky. She was not relaxed today. Her face was serious, and the soft glow around her was a little stronger than usual. "They're coming," she said without looking at him. Darren walked up beside her. "You're sure?" She nodded. "The Kirari have entered the Telro system. A large scout ship is already scanning nearby planets. We don't have much time." Darren looked up at the sky. There was nothing there, no ships, no lights, but he trusted her. "What do we do?" he asked. Ariel pointed toward his signal tower. "We must finish upgrading the jammer. If they find out you're here, they'll send more than scouts. They worked quickly. Ariel climbed the tower with skill and ease. Darren stayed below, connecting wires and checking signals. Together, they finished just before sunset. The tower now had a special field that blocked scans from enemy ships. From space, Darren's land would look like empty dirt, but that wouldn't stop a full invasion. That night, Ariel and Darren sat in the small shelter she had built. A screen showed a star map with red dots moving slowly toward the planet. "There's still a chance they may pass us," she said. "But I don't believe they will." Darren frowned. "Why not?" "Because they are curious about you," she said. "More than they should be. Something about your pattern, your choices, draws them in." Darren shook his head. "I'm just a regular person." Ariel looked at him quietly. "You are not regular. You helped a wounded bird fly again. You fixed your water machine using parts from a broken toy. You face fear with humor. You act from your heart. The Kirari do not understand that. That makes you special." He didn't know what to say. He had never thought of himself as special, but Ariel's voice was calm and sure, and something in her words made him believe. "Then let's make sure they don't get to me," he said. "We fight back." Ariel smiled. "Yes, but not with guns, with ideas." The next day, they started building traps. Darren had an idea. He remembered something his father once told him. Telros 3 had a strange magnetic core. Long ago, scientists tried to mine it, but the energy inside was too wild. Most of the core had been left untouched. "If we use the energy to scramble their systems," Darren explained, "we might be able to stop their scans and confuse their ships." Ariel was impressed. "That could work. It's risky but very clever." They worked all day and night, building a signal trap. Ariel used her tools to connect to the planet's natural magnetic lines. Darren helped design the layout, placing energy conductors around the valley. They were tired, but they didn't stop. They didn't talk much either. They worked like they had done this together for years, step by step, side by side. 3 days later, the sky changed. Dark clouds rolled in, not from nature, but from space. Ariel stood near the tower, eyes locked on her scanner. "A Kirari scout is entering our atmosphere. Just one ship for now." Darren grabbed the energy shield she had given him. "I'm ready." "No," she said firmly. "You stay hidden. If anything happens to you, the mission fails." He shook his head. "I'm not hiding. Not anymore." She looked at him. Her eyes softened. "You're brave." He smiled. "No, just tired of being scared." The Kirari ship appeared in the sky. It was long and dark with no windows or lights. It moved like a shadow over the land. Slowly, silently, it hovered above the farm. Then it dropped a small black drone. The drone flew close to the ground, scanning the soil, the machines, the trees. But when it reached the edge of the signal trap, it paused. The energy conductors lit up. In a flash, the drone's body sparked. It spun in the air and crashed into the ground. Ariel's plan had worked. The signal trap confused the drone's senses and blocked its connection to the ship. The Kirari ship stopped moving. Then, with a loud hum, it shot back into the sky. Darren and Ariel stood in silence. The danger had passed, for now, that night they sat under the stars. "You did it," Ariel said. "Your plan worked." "Our plan," Darren corrected her. Ariel looked at him for a long time. "You are more than my mission now." Darren turned to face her. "What do you mean?" "I was told to protect you. But I want to protect you. Not because of orders. Because I care." His chest felt tight. "I care too," he said. She reached out, her fingers brushing against his. Her hand was cool but soft and calm. "I don't know what this is," Darren said. But I want to know. We have time, she said. For now, he added. They both smiled. Far above, the Kerari ship had sent a message. The rest of the swarm was coming. But on Telros 3, one human and one alien were already preparing, not just to fight, but to stand together. And that made all the difference. The sun had not yet risen over Telros 3 when the warning came. Ariel's scanner blinked red. Lines of energy moved across the screen like waves. She stood still, her eyes serious. Darren came running out of the house, half awake and holding. His jacket. What's happening? He asked. They're here, Ariel said. The Kerari have entered the lower sky. 4 attack ships. The real invasion has started. Darren felt a cold fear in his chest. But he didn't panic. Not this time. He looked at her and said, We fight now, don't we? Ariel nodded once. Yes, and we fight smart. Ariel moved quickly across the field, activating the defense grid. The small silver towers Darren had helped place around the farm began to glow with soft blue light. They were connected to the energy trap powered by the planet's magnetic field. If they land near the farm, we can confuse their systems again, she said. Darren loaded a small laser tool into his bag. It wasn't a weapon, but it could cut through metal. What if they don't land? He asked. Then I go up to meet them, Ariel replied, activating her armored suit. Silver plates moved across her arms and chest, and her teal-blue skin glowed beneath the armor. Darren touched her shoulder. You're not going alone. You are the one they want, she said. I won't let them get to you. I'm not hiding, he said again. You taught me that. Ariel looked into his eyes for a moment, then gave a short nod. Then we go together. The sky turned dark as the Kerari ships arrived. They looked like long black claws, silent and cold. They made no sound. They had no windows or lights. Only their strange shape moved through the air like shadows with purpose. One ship landed on the far side of the valley. Another dropped 3 spider-like drones. The third flew over the farm, scanning the ground below. They are looking for you, Ariel said. Darren watched the scanner. Let's give them something to find. They moved fast. Ariel sent out a false signal from an old transport cart, making it look like a human life form was hiding inside. One drone took the bait and flew toward it. As soon as it reached the field, the signal trap activated. The magnetic pulse hit it hard. The drone froze in midair, shook, and fell to the ground in pieces. That's one, Darren said, gripping his tool tighter. More drones came. Ariel moved like lightning. Her suit created a light shield that blocked incoming shots. She jumped into the air, spun, and used her pulse blade to slice through another drone. Darren stayed near the base of the signal tower, keeping the power. Running and watching the trap lines. He warned her through the headset when drones moved too close from behind. Ariel, left side, he shouted. She turned just in time and sent out a wave of energy. The last drone near the farm exploded with a soft blue flash. But the real danger had not landed yet. A loud thud shook the ground. The largest Kerari ship had landed on the west field. Its doors opened, and out stepped a dark figure unlike the drones. It was taller, with smooth armor and glowing red lines across its chest. Its body was not fully machine. Part of it looked alive, like it had been made from different species. That's not just a drone, Ariel said, standing in front of Darren. That's a collector. It can take living forms. It will come for you. Darren stepped forward. Then let it come. No, Ariel said, her voice firm. This one is mine. She ran forward, meeting the creature halfway across the field. The two clashed with a loud blast. Ariel's blade hit its side, but it responded fast, swinging its sharp arm down at her. She blocked, but the impact pushed her back. The battle was fierce. Energy sparks flew in every direction. Ariel was fast, but the collector was strong. Darren watched, heart racing. unsure if he should run to help or stay back. Then the collector raised its hand and shot a dark beam toward the tower. "No!" Darren shouted and jumped in front of it. The beam hit the ground near him, throwing him back. Ariel's eyes turned sharp with fear. She screamed his name and moved faster than ever before. She struck the collector's side with all her strength. The blade cut deep, and the creature fell back. Ariel ran to Darren. He was hurt, but awake. "Are you all right?" she asked, holding his face. "I'm okay," he said with a weak smile. "But you look mad." "I am," she said. "You scared me." He coughed and said, "I'm not done yet." The collector was rising again. Ariel helped Darren to his feet. "Together?" she asked. "Together," he said. They charged side by side. Darren used his laser tool to hit a weak spot in the collector's leg. The metal cracked. Ariel jumped high and drove her blade deep into its chest. The red lights flickered, then turned black. The collector fell. Silence. The sky began to clear. The other Kirari ships pulled away, leaving the valley behind. They had lost this time. Later, as the sun set, Ariel helped Darren sit under the large tree near the tower. "You saved me again," he said. "No," she replied. "You saved me. I couldn't have done it without you." They sat quietly for a while, listening to the wind. "I thought I was just a farmer," Darren said. "You are more," Ariel said gently. "You are brave. You think with your heart and your mind, and you never give up." He looked at her. "And you? You were sent to protect me, but I think maybe you want more than that now." Ariel's eyes softened. "I do. I was trained to serve a mission, but now I choose you, not as a duty, but because I care." Darren smiled. "Then stay." She reached out and took his hand. "I will." As the stars appeared in the sky, Telros 3 was quiet again, but it was not the same. The farm had changed. The people had changed. And from now on, no matter what came from the stars, Darren and Ariel would face it together. The sun rose slowly over Telros 3. The sky was peaceful, and the wind moved softly through the fields, but the ground still showed signs of the battle. Broken drones lay scattered near the farm. Burned patches marked the earth where energy had exploded. Even the old signal tower had a long black crack across its side. Darren stood near the tower with a blanket over his shoulders. He had a few bruises, a cut on his arm, and pain in his back, but he was alive. More than that. He had fought back and won. He looked up at the bright sky and took a deep breath. Ariel walked up beside him, her silver suit quiet and smooth. Her skin glowed gently in the morning light, and her long black hair moved with the wind. She held a small scanner in one hand. "No Kirari ships in the system," she said. "They're gone, for now." Darren nodded. "We bought some time." "Yes," she said softly. They both stood in silence for a moment. Then Darren looked at her. "So, what happens now?" Ariel looked down at the scanner. She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "The Varelian Council has contacted me." Darren blinked. "They know what happened?" "Yes. They know I broke protocol. I made contact. I bonded emotionally. With a human. I fought beside you. These are not small things to them." Darren frowned. "Will they punish you?" "They may ask me to return," Ariel said. "They may remove me from field duty. Maybe even exile me from service." "That's not fair," Darren said. "You did the right thing." Ariel looked at him. Her voice was calm but firm. "Varelians are not ruled by emotion. We are guided by law and reason. To them, I made a mistake." "But you protected me," he said. "You protected this whole planet." "That won't matter to all of them," she said. "But I don't regret anything." Darren stepped closer. "And if they ask you to leave?" Ariel paused. Then she looked into his eyes. "Then I have a choice to make." Darren's heart beat faster. He had thought about this moment before. What would happen after the battle, after the mission? He had hoped things could stay the same. But now it was clear. Nothing ever stayed the same. Later that day, they repaired what they could. Darren worked on the tower while Ariel checked the energy field lines. They didn't speak much, but the silence was not cold. It was filled with thought. When the sky turned orange in the evening, a soft hum came from Ariel's shelter. The communication screen lit up. A tall Virelian figure appeared. His skin was light silver blue, and his voice was strong and clear. "Ariel. Of Virel 7, this is the Council. Your mission on Telros 3 is complete. We have reviewed your actions. You are ordered to return." Ariel stood tall. "Understood." The council member looked at her for a moment, then added, "You broke our rules. You formed a personal bond. This bond is not allowed under our current laws. We expect full cooperation." Ariel glanced at Darren, who stood just behind her. Then she said, "I will return, but not as a field agent." The Virelian man raised an eyebrow. "You resign your post?" "I do," Ariel said clearly. "My service was meant to protect life. I followed that mission, but I have also found something I was never trained to expect: connection, meaning, choice." The screen went dark. No reply came. Darren stepped forward. "What does this mean?" "It means I'm free," Ariel said, turning to him. "No longer a soldier. No longer under orders." Darren looked confused. "But is that okay with you?" She smiled softly. "It is more than okay. I chose this. I chose you." That night, they sat outside by a small fire. Darren had brought out 2 mugs of warm fruit tea. Ariel held hers gently, breathing in the sweet scent. "You know," Darren said, "when I first saw you appear in front of me, I thought I was dreaming." Ariel smiled. "When I first saw you talk to your broken water purifier, I thought humans were strange." Darren laughed. "We are." She looked at him. "But you're also strong, kind, and full of hope. You are not perfect, but you don't. Stop trying. That's rare." He sipped his tea. "So, what now?" "We build," she said. "Build what?" "A future," she replied. The days that followed were quiet again, but this time, not lonely. Darren and Ariel worked together on the land. They repaired damaged equipment, planted new seeds, and set up better protection around the farm. At night, they watched the stars together. Ariel showed him where Virel 7 was on the star map. Darren told her stories about his father, about his dreams, and about how he once thought he would leave Telros 3 forever. "I don't want to leave anymore," he said one night. "You don't have to," Ariel whispered. Sometimes she stayed in her shelter. Other times she stayed in his house, sitting by the window, watching the wind. They talked about life, about the galaxy, and about how strange it was that 2 beings from different worlds could find something real between them. One evening, a message came from the outer colonies. It was a warning that more Karari movement had been detected, but far from Telros 3. For now, the planet was safe. Darren turned to Ariel after reading the message. "You ever think they'll come back?" "Maybe," she said. "But if they do, we'll be ready." He smiled. "We?" She nodded. "Always." Darren reached out and held her hand. Her fingers wrapped around his gently. They didn't need more words. They were no longer protector and protected. Not soldier and farmer, just 2 souls who had found each other under impossible stars. And that was enough. Weeks passed on Telros 3, and the quiet hills slowly healed. The broken land grew green again. Plants that were once burned now stretched toward the sun. Birds returned to the skies, and small animals peeked out from hiding. The battle felt like a memory now, but one that no one could forget. Darren woke early each morning. He walked the fields, checked the crops, and adjusted the solar lines. But now, he was never truly alone. Ariel walked with him, scanning energy waves or watching the sky. She was no longer just a guardian from a distant world. She had become part of the place, part of his world. One morning, as they stood at the edge of the field, Darren looked toward the horizon. "Do you miss it?" he asked softly. "Miss what?" Ariel replied. "Your old life," he said. "The missions, the ships, the stars." Ariel thought for a moment. "I don't miss orders. I don't miss the silence between assignments. But I do miss the stars. I miss seeing the galaxy's beauty from above." Darren smiled. "We have stars here too." "Yes," she said. "And now I see them with new eyes." In the following days, a surprise visitor arrived. A light transport ship landed on a flat patch near the mountain base. It was clean, smooth, and clearly Varelian. Darren stood next to Ariel as the doors opened. From the ship stepped a female, Varelian officer. Her uniform was neat, her expression calm, but there was something gentle in her gaze. "Ariel," the officer said. "I am Counselor May." Ariel nodded. "You came yourself." "I did," May replied. "The council debated long. Some still question your actions, but others have begun to understand." Ariel said nothing. She stood tall, eyes steady. May looked at Darren. "You're the human she protected." Darren nodded slowly. "I am. You helped defend this colony. You risked your life," May said. "We saw the recordings. The Kirari could have destroyed this land, but they didn't, because you both stood together." Darren looked at Ariel. "We didn't have a choice. We just knew we had to try." Counselor May took a breath. "The council will not punish you, Ariel. They will not exile you. Instead, they have decided to listen." "Listen?" Ariel asked. "Yes," May said. "You've shown us something we've forgotten, why we protect others in the first place. We want you to join a new mission, not as a soldier, but as a voice, to help us understand humans better, to help us work with them." Darren stayed quiet. Ariel looked at the ship, then at the land behind her. Finally, she asked, "Can I choose where I serve?" May nodded. "You may." Ariel smiled. "Then I choose to stay here." That night, after the ship left, Darren and Ariel sat outside once more. The stars above were clear and bright. "You really stayed," Darren said. "I did," she replied, "even with a new mission offered." "Yes," Ariel said, looking at him, "because I've already found my mission, right here." Darren looked up at the stars. "Maybe one day we can leave this planet together, not to run, but to explore, as equals." "I would like that," she said, "but only if we return to this place. This land is our home now." They sat in silence for a long time, watching a distant star fall across the sky. Months passed. Together, Darren and Ariel built a new signal tower. This one was stronger, faster, and able to connect with Varelian systems and human networks across the stars. Ariel helped install it, and Darren named it Skybond. Ariel also began speaking with human settlers on other colonies. She helped guide peaceful talks between human and Varelian communities. Her words carried weight because she had lived both lives, and Darren, he became more than just a farmer. He shared his story too. How a quiet man on a quiet farm stood with someone who was once a stranger from the stars, and how together they changed what it meant to belong. One evening, a small crowd gathered at the edge of the valley. The signal tower lit up with soft, green lights, and a celebration began. It wasn't grand, just neighbors and settlers from nearby outposts. Children ran with light sticks. Music played from a speaker made from old parts. There was laughter, food, and warmth in the air. Ariel stood with Darren as people came to thank them. "You two gave us hope," one woman said. "You reminded us that we're not alone." Ariel nodded kindly. "No one should ever feel alone." Darren smiled. "That's why we built the tower, to remind everyone that there's always someone listening." Later that night, as the crowd left and the lights dimmed, Ariel and Darren stayed behind. The stars above seemed even closer now. "Do you think others will come?" Darren asked. "Yes," Ariel replied, "but not as invaders, as friends, as explorers, maybe even as family." Darren reached into his coat and pulled out a small round pendant made of stone and metal. He had carved it himself, shaped from Telros 3 rock and Verilion alloy. He handed it to her. "It's not fancy, but it's from here, from us." Ariel held the pendant close. "Thank you." He looked into her eyes. "We may be from different worlds, but we made one together." She smiled gently. "And no matter what galaxy we cross in the future, this will always be our beginning." From that day forward, stories of Darren and Ariel spread across colonies and space stations, not as myths or fairy tales, but as truth. Proof that when walls are broken and hearts are open, even the stars become smaller. Telros 3 was no longer just a quiet farming colony. It had become a place where unity was planted, and where a human and an alien grew something that would reach far beyond their small world. Together.